Seth Rollins, is he hurt? What happens with the world title? Kazuchika Okada is a free agent, and we're a week away from the Royal Rumble. Wrestling Uncensored time. It's time. It's time to do the thing. Here's Johnny. There's Johnny. How are you, my friend?
I'm all Dave. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Ready to talk some professional wrestling. Ready to talk about all the great things happening in the world of wrestling, right? We're a week away from the Rumble. I think the biggest news is Seth Rollins and what's going on now. I saw Fightful reporting that he has an MCL tear and a partially torn meniscus. So he's got some knee issues after an injury that he suffered in the match with Jinder Mahal on Raw this past week. And the WWE is advertising Seth Rollins to address his future and the future of the world title coming up to kick off Raw Monday night. Never nice to see a title run end due to injury, but that definitely seems like what we're about to experience here coming up on Monday. So that, to me, is the biggest story going in pro wrestling right now. We're watching AEW Rampage. We just watched Friday Night Smackdown, where we saw the legendary Roman Reigns make an appearance. Took an RKO at the end of the show. Randy Orton hitting RKOs on everybody tonight. Entertaining main event segment on SmackDown. Decent SmackDown overall. They advertised some pretty cool matches for next week, which we'll tell you about as well. Kazuchika Okada, as I mentioned, a free agent now in professional wrestling. He says he's leaving New Japan. New Japan announced it. Okada is leaving. We wish him the best. A lot of people expecting him to land in AEW. I want to ask Johnny North if he thinks AEW or WWE would be the preferred places for him to see Kazuchika Okada land. And I want to hear from you as well. Let me know what you think on the chat. I see you on Twitter, watching on YouTube, watching on Rumble, however you watch the Ringside Report Network. We appreciate you tuning in here tonight on a Friday night, as we are live every Friday. But if you tune in another time, we also appreciate it. But live, of course, every Friday night here, Johnny, after SmackDown at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Lore in the chat. I wonder if I'm in trouble. I know Antoinette was not happy with me, and I'm sorry, Antoinette. She was not happy with me after last night's show, right?
Right. It's not about anything last week. You're not talking about last week Wrestling Uncensored. I don't think we upset anybody last week with Wrestling Uncensored.
No.
I think we just gave ideas for how we're going to see the Rumble. Mm-hmm. And we're not even 100% sure yet that's the way it's going to go yet, because we still have another week. And they're going to be in Florida next week, right? Like the site of the Rumble or close to it. So we'll have a better idea next week, because it feels like next week's card will kind of carry into the Rumble a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah, I think that they're putting some matches on next week's SmackDown that they couldn't fit on the Rumble, that type of thing. Leor in the chat says, less degenerates tonight, I think. Johnny, WWE fans, better than UFC fans, he's saying. Because it was a controversial show last night. I know I ruffled some feathers. Some people were mad. Some people were happy with what I said. Leor was happy, and I think Angelo and some people in the chat were supportive. But I know that, I came on pretty strong against Sean Strickland and some of the things that AJ was saying. I'm surprised you're not jumping on me, John, for being too mean to AJ or whatever last night.
Anyone that says like trans is like a mental disorder, you can't get behind that whatsoever. Like, they have the problem.
Correct. That's what I thought.
There's no excuse for that.
That's what I thought. Excuse. Apparently, in the MMA world, that's the wrong opinion in a lot of circles.
this is just to get my opinion. I think people get blinded because he says a bunch of buzzwords. He says the swamp, he says Trudeau, and he
Yeah.
gets people fired up just with that.
Yeah.
But then you hear what he actually says, like the meat and potatoes of it, and it's like, you're crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be listened to whatsoever. Like, if anything, I want to not watch you ever. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice that you fight, but you're out of your mind.
I don't like that he's getting
My
so
two
much
cents.
publicity, too, you know? Like, everybody's talking about him. He's causing a lot of controversy. Like, I was talking to my mom last night, and I was like, I got to do the show now, and I'm going to talk about this guy. You know, he's talking a lot of shit, and he's kind of, you know? And she's like, oh, you mean Strickland? I'm like, how do you know? Like, what? So it's getting out there, you know? Like, she's not watching the UFC. She doesn't know anything about the UFC. She barely knows the difference between wrestling and MMA. But she knew who I was talking about, so that's not good. People outside of MMA are looking at Sean Strickland and saying, hey, that's a representative of what the UFC is, and that makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that so much. You know, it's not so much of what he says and, you know, whatever. There are guys like that are going to have those types of opinions, and that's just a fact of life. I don't have to agree with them, but the fact that he's making so much noise and representing the UFC, and he's kind of leaking out in the mainstream as a representative of the sport that I love so much, it kind of makes me go, oh, man, that sucks. You know? I don't like that. I like when the guys that leak out into the mainstream are, you know, a little more respectable, a little more presentable. Yeah.
I don't want to get too into it, but
No.
I saw what AJ said about the whole, like, you know, he was only joking, and like I think that's what the other fighter said, Silva, like, he jokes a lot, kind of thing, and like it's one thing to joke,
but it's not funny.
but a
There's
lot
no
of what
jokes.
he said, like that's not funny whatsoever, and you shouldn't joke about a lot of things that he said.
Mm-mm.
Like that like what he said about trans, like that's horrific. That should never be said.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy when wrestling is less outrageous, because wrestling should be the most outrageous thing.
Right.
And is far from it in this case.
Right. I even said, you know, people jumped all over Jericho off a rumor of some sort of impropriety, you know? And in MMA, they cheer Sean Strickland. It's a different fan base. Same company, right? At WWE and UFC, it's all the same boss at the end of the day. Same owners.
Well, this goes to AEW and WWE fans, though. I mean, I think AEW a lot more in terms of like outrage, I think, and they'll be a lot more vocal. Where I feel WWE fans, and just the way they've kind of put the show, like they'll go with the flow kind of thing.
Yeah.
Except in some cases. I think most people will boo Hogan, but
yes,
that seems to be the exception, I find.
Yeah, people do boo Hogan. I haven't seen people really booing Ric Flair when he's come out. He seems to be getting some pretty positive reactions. Even Jericho lately, like, that was kind of one night. Right?
Well, it is Rampage tonight, though. I mean, it is taped, right? So you have to put that into consideration.
Yeah, he seems to be getting, you know, regular Chris Jericho reactions. Doesn't like it seems to have blown over. Whatever happened, I have noticed that he had on his podcast back-to-back episodes. He had Sky Blue and then Deonna Purrazzo, like just back-to-back. I was like, is he trying to send a signal? Like, hey, guys, look at all these women's wrestlers that are just happy to sit and be on my podcast. Like, what are you talking about? I wonder if he's kind of sending us a message in that respect, but he often interviews AEW wrestlers, so I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, like all this controversy happens about him and a former AEW women's talent, and then he has two of them on his show back-to-back. Good episodes, too. I listened to both of them. Very interesting stuff about Sky Blue. She has not been wrestling for that long, but I think she started when she was maybe 16 or something, so she's been wrestling for maybe 8 years, I think, if I have that right. It's kind of crazy.
You would know more than I.
Yeah, I think it was. I think she said 8 years, which is still
like, I don't know if Did you see the interview with RJ City? Like, that was not one of her best moments, by the way.
I
I
did
saw
not see
that.
that. I avoid those interviews. I don't watch those things. It's like comedy bits that don't really work for me, so I don't watch it. Right?
Yeah, I get why you wouldn't, but this was just hilarious because like she didn't know what to say whatsoever, so he had to carry her through it throughout. So it was kind of hilarious, I thought. More funny than it was supposed to be, I think.
Well, maybe I'll check it out. But it was interesting stuff from Sky Blue and Deonna Purrazzo, who's the new AEW star. Anyways, we'll talk about Sean Strickland and the UFC tomorrow night when we do the UFC 297 watch along. We'll also have some boosted odds, a special Ringside Report parlay over at bet99.com. You can go to bet99.ringsidereport.net, and that boosted odd parlay of Mayra Bueno Silva and Dricus du Plessis should be up at bet99 tomorrow morning. So be sure to be on the lookout for that, right? Ringside Report
Nice.
boosted odds parlay. How about that? Bet99.ringsidereport.net. There it is.
That's like
Thank you.
The Dave's picks, no? Or...
Dave's picks. That's right. So I like Mayra Bueno Silva in the co-main and Dricus to beat Sean Strickland in the main event. Johnny North. Pro wrestling-wise, Seth Rollins' injury could mean knee surgery, could mean a significant amount of time off. I know that the MCL tear is not as bad as the ACL tear. From what I understand, you're not out for as long, but I think it's the kind of thing you need a surgery for, right?
Well, I saw that they said that he might not need surgery, so that would be great if he could just take time off and then be okay for WrestleMania. I mean, does he really need to wrestle from now to Mania? Not so much. We just need that big match with Punk. That seems to be the main thing they're building with him. Everything else isn't really necessary. He's done all the big matches. They're not going to give us him and Cody before Mania, so if he can just hold out till Mania, that'd be fine. That'd be fantastic. I'm okay with that. However, if they feel like it's so bad he has to get surgery and he has to be out, I'm kind of hopeful that maybe the Rumble turns into you win the Rumble, you win the title.
Well,
that'd be a great scenario.
Let me give you some information from the Cleveland Clinic, which is a reputable medical source here, John. This is real science, okay? Can an MCL tear heal on its own? They say a grade 1 MCL tear can usually heal on its own with rest within 1 to 3 weeks. This seems like no surgery. Grade 2 and grade 3 MCL tears, which are more severe, need proper treatment in order to heal, which can include resting, wearing a knee brace, doing physical therapy. If you injure your knee, contact your healthcare. Yeah. Do MCL tears require surgery? Most MCL tears heal well without surgery. However, so there you go. Most MCL tears heal well without surgery. So that's good, right?
That's positive, yeah.
However, if you have other knee injuries alongside an MCL tear, you will likely need to undergo surgery.
Well, that's bad because he's had an injury before. He's had surgery to his knee before.
According to Fightful, he has a torn MCL and partially torn meniscus. So that's two things in the knee. So usually surgery, they're saying. Professional athletes may need to consider surgery to fix their MCL tear to prevent future MCL issues when they return to their sport. The time it takes to fully recover from an MCL tear depends on how severe the tear is. Grade 1, a mild grade 1 tear, usually within 1 to 3 weeks. Grade 2, 4 to 6 weeks. Grade 3 could take 6 or more. If you undergo surgery to fix your MCL tear, it could take longer. So it depends if you need surgery. But they're saying here that if you have more than just an MCL tear, if you also have, say, a partially torn meniscus, you may require surgery, which would take longer than 6 weeks to heal up for. They're also saying if you're a pro athlete who's torn your MCL, you may want to fix it to reduce further complications. So that's the science of it with Seth Rollins, John. I think that's useful information. Because now we kind of
Gives
know
you
what
an
we're
idea.
working with and what he might come to say on Monday night.
It's really unfortunate.
But it depends, like,
this is the worst time.
Like MCL tear, it could be a grade 1 MCL tear, in which case, no big deal. Like, Fightful is saying MCL tear, that's the report, but they're not saying what grade of MCL tear. And according to the Cleveland Clinic, John, that's very important information. And Ryan Katz is saying it sounds like he could be ready for WrestleMania, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that assessment, right? I mean, it depends on how severe the MCL tear is and if he does require surgery. And I think we'll find out on Monday. Because right now it's not clear. Because an MCL tear could mean, as we know now, a variety of things. It's good to look things up sometimes, John. When you want the information, rather than just kind of, I wonder, maybe surgery, maybe not, you know? It's good. Google.
It's better
Google
than
is our
the
friend.
guessing game, yeah.
Yeah.
Without question. But I would also think you have to take into consideration the fact that he's been injured before. He had a major, blew out his knee.
Yeah.
So I think you take that in consideration, that he's had a history of knee problems. So that might also play into it as well. Hopefully he can make Mania. Again, does he really need to wrestle before WrestleMania? Not so much. But it is kind of weird if he just, he's not going to wrestle Mania. That's kind of, we already have a world champion that pretty much does that anyways.
Yeah, but he's not really expected to defend at the Royal Rumble, right?
No, you're right.
He doesn't have a match. He doesn't have a program. There's nothing set up, so I don't think he was going to defend at the Rumble anyways. He could maybe make it to Australia or wait and just wait till Mania. I don't know if he hangs on to the belt until then, though. If he does take a time off of wrestling, at least, he may still be around doing promos or whatever, but if he's off wrestling, I feel like he might drop the belt. I feel like he might just vacate it on Monday if he knows he's not going to be able to wrestle for, say, 8 to 12 weeks type of thing. If it's 2 to 4 weeks, yeah, hold the belt. But if it's, again, it depends how severe the tear is to the MCL and when he can come back to work.
I just feel they have many ways to get out of this. Because 1, vacate, like you said. 2, they just have Damian Priest do a quick cash in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's many ways to avoid him having to really worry about having to wrestle later on. They have ways out of this, and then maybe he can come back if he could possibly come back later. He doesn't need to be the champion going to Mania. You just need that match with CM Punk. So Punk, in between now and then, can win the championship or make it a triple threat with Damian Priest. I think that still works.
Yeah. I think that here's the thing, John. It's hard to predict what they might do for Mania or what they might do with the belt based on what Seth's recovery time is looking like,
Yeah.
We really don't know what this injury is. It could be minor, it could be severe. Jason Pete is saying it doesn't take much to make it a whole lot worse. And I believe he speaks from experience. I think he knows what he's talking about. Jason Pete is a jiu-jitsu guy. He's a martial artist. He knows about pain and injuries. I'm feeling some pain right now, Jason. I was working out of some triangles today on some guys that were too gigantic to be escaping their triangles, and my neck is really feeling it. I'm not going to move my head too much on the show tonight. You might notice my head not moving too far. Jiu-jitsu's fun, though. It's a good time. My friend Fred, who also got injured doing jiu-jitsu, he had knee surgery, and he was back on the mats in 6 weeks. He had a meniscus tear. They took out his whole meniscus, and he was back rolling in 6 weeks. So if Fred can do it, Seth Freakin can do it as well. Just look to Fred. Fred is probably, a higher level athlete than Seth freaking Rollins, but still, Seth can get there.
Well, again, I think Seth's had more injuries than Fred as well. You got to give the Seth that at least. Like he's been more banged up. But I also feel too they don't want to just take the title off of him if they don't have to. Like if it's absolutely necessary, they will. But if they feel up, they just have to wait a couple of weeks and he'll be all right. Yeah, they'll wait it out, I think.
Yeah, I think because you have so much invested in Seth, because he's such a big star, that he's worth, kind of figuring out what you can do, waiting and seeing, what's possible with this guy and trying their hardest to get him in a big match for WrestleMania, because everybody who's watching this show is expecting Seth and Punk at WrestleMania. And if we don't get that, I think we'll go, well, it's possible they could go a different direction without Seth, and there's a lot of different directions they could go. Say Seth is out. Say Seth, needs surgery and he's going to miss, say, 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. Does that put him out of Mania?
I think it pretty much does, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty much does. Yeah, that would pretty much, right? We got 8. Yeah, we're running out of time here. Right?
Yeah.
So if he's getting surgery, say next week, he's out 10 to 12 weeks, he's out of Mania. 6 to 8 weeks, maybe he can get back in time. Maybe. But then you're coming off surgery, you're not at your best, and you have to set something up quick before Mania when you do come back. So say Seth is really hurt, say Seth is gone, he's dropping the belt, and he's no longer a factor for Mania. What would you do? Would you put the belt up on the line in the Royal Rumble and have somebody win it there, like a Punk or Cody or LA Knight or AJ Styles? Any number of guys. I mean, LA and AJ might not be in the Rumble because they're in that Fatal 4-Way, but there are options there. You could go with one of the options that make the most sense, like a Cody or a Punk. Or you could go, outside the box with Ronald Truth or Dominic Mysterio or Tom Mysterio, Nick Mysterio, one of those guys, That might be fun.
Be funny.
R-Truth walking away with the world title would be fantastic. R-Truth winning the Rumble at this point and walking away as the world champion would be justified in a lot of ways, considering he is the most entertaining guy on Monday Night Raw. So why not make him the Raw champion? He is kind of the best guy they have. When I watch Raw, it's not the Punk segments, which are pretty few and far between. I don't see them very often. Punk's not on the show every week. It's not Seth.
Next week.
It's not Cody. It's R-Truth lately.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to give the belt to Truth, but I wouldn't hate it. Going into Mania, it seems kind of wild, but if Seth drops the belt, who is the next champion? And do you put it up in the Rumble?
I think it's more exciting if you put it up in the Rumble. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can always do the thing of just Damian Priest cashes in, but then you got to think about the winner of the Rumble's probably facing Priest going into Mania. Is that really the big attraction? I think the best thing for Priest is to just cash in at WrestleMania, which I think is the idea right now going in with Seth. But if that doesn't happen, I say keep it like that. Have the winner win the Rumble. To me, if you can't do Seth and Punk, the next big match to do is Punk and Cody.
Yeah.
Who also are going to have a face-to-face on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can technically start building for it this Monday night.
Yep, you definitely could. And I think if Seth is out of the picture, you have to go with Cody and Punk. And that's a very good backup. Very good.
It's okay. I think it's better, actually.
Yeah, I think some people would argue it is better. How about this? Damian Priest is set to wrestle Drew McIntyre on Raw Monday night. Seth Rollins is supposed to open up Raw Monday night addressing the future of the World Championship and his injury. Is there a chance Damian Priest does a quick roll-up, cash-in on Seth and walks into the match with Drew McIntyre defending the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw, and Drew McIntyre even possibly walking away from Monday Night Raw as the World Heavyweight Champion?
I mean, the plan right now is Drew is in the Rumble match, right? He's already declared for the Rumble.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of weird if the world champion is going to be in the Rumble match. I mean, it's not the first time that I think that's ever happened before, but I feel like they're set with that. And it makes it more interesting, right? That you have so many of these top contenders in the Rumble. But things change, plans change, so it's not impossible. I just feel that you just have Priest win it if you're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the match would be non-title because right now it's scheduled to be non-title.
Yeah.
And then Drew can beat him, and then, well, that builds up for a potential title match in the future, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
I would see it like that.
Yeah. I'm just throwing options out there. I'm just saying
There's
there
a
are
lot of
options, right? There are a lot of options, and anything can happen in the WWF, pal. I learned that at a very young age. All right? Somebody kept saying that to me, and I believed them. Because back then it was true. Back then, you watch the WWF, anything can happen in the WWF, and you watch it and you're like, wow, that was crazy. I guess anything can happen here. I saw a man get bit by a snake. There was blood and everything. It was horrifying. I was about 6, 7 maybe. Horrifying. Anything can happen in the WWF. Didn't take, it took that for me to believe it. I was like, yeah, I don't think that was fake. That seemed about real. And I later found out it was. It was. The snake was out of control and bit Macho Man way too hard. Crazy. We've seen some things in wrestling. That was on Saturday at noon on CFCF 12, WWF Superstars. That's where I saw that. Because that's the only wrestling we had back then.
I feel like they warned you, though, at least on commentating. Like, they said, this might be not for the faint of heart or something. I feel like they may have said that at least.
I don't remember a warning. All I remember is seeing it and being like, oh my God, what? I'm still scared of snakes. To this day. Don't like snakes.
You just got to worry for the red ones. The red ones are bad.
I don't like any snakes. Wow. Snaky. All slithery. Gross.
Calm down, Andy.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Indiana. Oh, yeah,
not from Indiana.
You watch Indiana Jones.
I'm Canadian. All right.
But anyways, let's hope. I'm hoping for Seth that he'll be okay because I think people, for the most part, want to see that match. And if they can hold out, that's the best thing for it, I think.
We've already started down that path of CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I would like to finish the story. All right?
It's nice to finish stories, yeah.
Once in a while, finish a story. I don't know what Cody's story is going to be, though. I'm not really sure where he's going at WrestleMania. Still,
there's options.
Unclear.
I wouldn't be worried. I'm hoping it's not Roman because it's been done. If anything, a match with Randy's fantastic. And I always said him in a 3-way with Seth and Punk, I think that's a fantastic match.
Yeah. I think they could go down that road. I'm looking forward to the Cody Punk promo on Raw. Because you talk about options and things that they could say and directions they could go in. I mean, a lot of options there for the Cody Punk promo. Do you think that there's any mention of Cody's buddies that Punk got into fights with?
Well, it's funny that they kind of mentioned Punk this week on Dynamite, right? So,
Yes,
I
they
mean,
did.
that's kind of fun.
We'll talk about the
But I
Bucks
don't know.
later.
I don't know if Punk's going to go down that road, though. I mean, I think they'll mention their history in the past kind of thing, but that's about it. I don't think he'll mention current things, though.
I think they should. It's the elephant in the room. Everybody's going to be thinking it. CM Punk hates the EVPs. So. He went on a rant against the EVPs, and, Cody's the only EVP he wasn't talking about because Cody wasn't there at the time, but, I mean, he went after Cody's buddies pretty hard, specifically Cody's buddies. I mean, who knows if they're still buddies? Cody did leave, so there is that. And Cody was not really clear on why, other than he wants to win the WWE title, which, I don't know. I think it was a good move for Cody. It's obviously worked.
Yeah, I think it worked okay.
It's made him a gigantic star in wrestling, and it's made him bigger than ever. I think it was a smart move.
Money.
But, he did say that he had reasons why he left, and he's not going to say why, so, who knows? Who knows what kind of terms he's on with the Bucks and Kenny? He didn't seem to say he had any kind of bad feelings for him, so I think they're still friends. And if they are, Punk.
It's funny, though, his last AEW promo, like, he mentioned Punk, and it felt like we were going down that road, Cody versus Punk in AEW. It never got to happen. Now we're finally going to get that confrontation. Like, what is it, 2-3 years later? 3 years later, I guess? Yeah.
This is the one I've been waiting for since Punk got back to WWE. Him and Cody in the ring. That was the one that I really wanted to see. Him and Roman in the ring together will be fun, but him and Cody, I feel like there's more there. There's more you can do.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because Heyman, I feel there's more with Roman, but...
Yeah, but that's all fun. I mean, that's all friendly. He doesn't have a personal issue with Roman. I think there may be some more stuff there with Cody. I mean, Punk in a way has taken a spot from Cody at WrestleMania.
Maybe. Well, I don't know if he really did. He took the other spot, really. He didn't really take Cody's spot.
I mean, if it's not a triple threat for the world title, I don't know what Cody's doing at Mania. If it is Punk and Seth. Punk came in and he, he's got himself a comfortable spot. I'm not arguing with why, but, I think there's stuff there with Cody.
I mean, they could do stuff. They're great talkers. That's the thing. They could make something out of this without question. And I'm just going to say it right now, I might be a little distracted because
yes,
Jeff Hardy's about to wrestle Darby Allin. So
yes.
There might be some distractions at some point because this match, you don't always watch Rampage, but this is a reason to watch Rampage tonight, that's for sure. Because this was one of the better matches on Dynamite a couple of years ago. And it'll probably be very good tonight.
Oh, my goodness. I love that they're doing this. Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin. Yeah, it's going to be hard not to focus on this match, John. This is pretty good, right? Darby is so good. I love Darby Allin so much.
When you think about potential world champions, I think Darby should be up there. But because he's with Sting right now, he's kind of like distracted a bit. And we'll get into it later about possibly going for the tag team titles.
Belts,
he's in a different direction. Different direction right now for Darby, but I can see him as world champion one day without question. And Jeff, a former world champion.
He's just so good, man. He's got the character down. His matches are always so good. The things that he does to himself, the bumps that he takes, it's just ridiculous.
It's kind of like Raven right now, sitting in the corner.
Yeah. He's a great wrestler. Darby Allin. Such a big fan. Okay, sticking with the WWE here, Johnny, what did you think of Cody and Drew this week on Raw doing the promo? I didn't love it.
I thought it was okay. I thought the promo Punk and McIntyre did last week was better, but it was nice that Drew mentioned the history that they have. Right away, they go crazy.
That was nuts.
Yeah, it's nice that they mentioned the history, the dashing ones. They were tag team champions. To me, like remembering that, it was just kind of like, well, this just kind of fits, kind of thing. It was never meant to be anything, but they kind of try to make it seem like it was bigger deal, and they were too distracted.
I have
It was
no
really
recollection
just a
of it.
happenstance.
I don't even remember it happening.
They just because remember it was with Nexus, right? Because Nexus were the tag champions, or yeah, it was Nexus, and then Cody and Drew came in there because of Cena, and they won the tag team titles. So
yeah, but like the SmackDown tag team titles, right? That's when they had 2 sets of tag belts, so it didn't really matter.
I think you're right too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. So not so great.
It was not great.
But they try to make something out of it, though. I mean, they have a kind of a limited history, and they mentioned the fact that they wrestled on the Indies together too. So that's kind of cool. What limited the history they had, they made the most of it, I thought.
Yeah, but I just don't care. They're just talking to each other, and I'm like, okay, you both want to win the Royal Rumble. Great.
Well, I also felt Drew, like, to me, it really showed you he's not really a heel. Like he said, he respects Cody for everything that he does. He also wants what he wants. And that's the problem, that he wants to win the Rumble. So it's nothing. You can't finish your story,
Cody. You're gonna get in my way. It's like, all right, Drew, take it easy.
That's it. Yeah, it was all right. It just, last week was better because I feel with Punk, there's more you can work with there.
Yeah. Well, Punk is, but that's why I think Drew is really the weak part in these promos. I'm just not buying it, and I think Cody and Punk is gonna be good because that's the A side meets the A side. Drew is always the B side in these promos, with Cody and with Punk. He's the B side.
I think it was good just to give Drew a chance with this because he rarely gets an opportunity to have these promos against some top guys. So it's nice that he gets that chance to not only have a point, but have counterpoints too, to go back and forth with them. Like, he doesn't always get that.
But there was something not believable about it. There's something that's just not there with Drew McIntyre's promos. His motivations are weird. His, like all that stuff about Punk where he was like, oh, you didn't help me. You didn't do this. And it's like, Cody, I like you, but, I want to win the Rumble too. And it's like, all right, well, cool. It's just nothing he says makes you go, ooh, right? Everything he says, you go, yeah, all right, that's fair enough, right. I guess. I don't know.
That's why it was just okay, I thought. It didn't have anything where it really blew you away, but that's the thing with him. Like, he doesn't have those, like, ooh, I can't believe he said that kind of line. He'll just say what's on his mind kind of thing.
But he never says anything that interesting. That's the problem with Drew McIntyre's promos. It's always been the problem with Drew McIntyre's promos is that even when he's given these opportunities, it's mid.
So far. I feel like
so far. How long has this dude been wrestling, man? What are you talking about? This guy's been in WWE forever. Did you see that picture with him and Cody? They look like children. Tag team champions.
They did look like children.
So far. This guy, if he's not here yet, when will he get there?
I feel R-Truth is a great example. How long has R-Truth been wrestling, And like, look, it finally took this long, but he's the most over he's ever been.
Cool. Well, maybe in 20 years when Drew McIntyre is 55 or whatever, I mean, maybe more like 15 years, but whatever. When Drew's in his 50s, maybe he'll cut a funny promo and be a joke character on Raw. Nice.
Maybe a more serious character.
Yeah. SmackDown, Raw was just not great other than R-Truth. Everything else just kind of happened.
Well, I thought the DIY match was okay, but they missed the hot tag though. Like they went to the commercial break and they were getting beat down, and they came back and you didn't see the hot tag. It's like it was a good match, but that was the whole buildup was for that, and we missed it. So that was kind of disappointing. But I thought it was a good match, just poorly executed in terms of the timing. Sadly,
Yeah, they're a
that was
solid
too
tag
bad.
team. Are they going to give them the belts, you think, the DIY? Because they keep, they're close. They're close.
The thing is, who's going to beat Judgment Day?
Yeah.
Like, is there
Them?
any other team coming up to beat? I mean, I felt they were trying with the Creed brothers, but they've kind of shied away from that a little bit. They're just background with the Alpha Academy now. That was surprising too. Like Tozawa beat Ivar. I mean, I guess they're really big on Tozawa. He had a good match in the past with Ivar, but to beat Ivar, I was a little surprised by that. But I guess they're pushing him now. I guess Tozawa.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why these matches keep happening. Ivar and Tozawa. Yeah. But they did happen, John. They definitely did happen.
Well, you must have been kind of happy Xavier Woods came back, so that's
yeah.
nice. It's just Kofi's gone now because he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one comes back, another one gets hurt, another one gets hurt, and comes back. Like it feels like this constantly happens with New Day. Like it's just endless circle of up. Someone's hurt, come back. That's it. This happens all the time.
Is Kofi actually injured?
I think this is just a work thing because they were just selling it because he did the whole running into the step. Like he drop kicked him and he was on the steps.
Yeah.
Like he didn't actually even drop kick the steps. He just drop kicked and he was on the steps. So I highly doubt he was hurt, but they're working that angle, I think.
And they're doing something with Gunther and Kaiser and Jey Uso's getting involved. Is that going to be Gunther's WrestleMania match against maybe Jey Uso or Kofi Kingston, possibly?
I'm thinking that's his chamber match, actually. I think Gunther versus Jey at Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
If he can get to Australia, it might have to be before that. It might have to just be on a Raw, I think.
Possibly, but that's something going on there. Gunther was on Raw saying he's going to win the Royal Rumble. We'll see. Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch did a promo on Raw. They're building towards a potential match. Becky says she wants to win the Rumble and face Rhea. Bayley saying she's going to win the Rumble and face Rhea. I'm starting to lose faith in Bayley.
The shirt.
She keeps talking about it.
Agree.
I'm starting to lose faith just because I feel like, maybe she's actually going to lose and then Damage Control is going to turn on her, which will lead to Bayley versus Io, but in a different way, and then Becky will actually win and face Rhea. I just would like to see... I mean, I see it in that way. I don't like it because they've had, 6 Women's Rumbles? Like, how many have they had? Not many.
Right.
And to have a repeat... To have a repeat winner already, it's like, and they don't give it to Bayley once at this point. I don't love that so much.
Well, how about this? We had 4 Rumbles ever in history, and who won half of them? Hulk Hogan. So, I mean, it's happened before.
Wait, what?
Like, wasn't it like 89... 90 wasn't Hogan, but then 91 or no, actually no, 90, 91 he won it, right? But he didn't win in 88 or 89, but he won it in 90, 91.
88 Hacksaw won.
Right.
89 Big John Studd won. And then yes, in 90 and 91 Hogan won it, but in 90 and 91 Hogan won everything. As he should. I mean, he definitely had to. He had to. And then in 92,
he was the champion.
Won. Yeah.
He didn't have to win that.
Why did that happen?
Well,
why?
You kind of said it. He just had to win everything, and he hadn't won it at that point, right? That was his first ever. So, we got to give Hogan that too. But at that point they didn't figure it out that who won the Rumble's going to Mania. That wasn't a thing yet at the time.
No, that only started in 1993. That only it wasn't the winner of the Royal Rumble getting a title shot at WrestleMania only started in the 93 Rumble. The 88 Rumble, nothing for Hacksaw, you just win. 89, nothing. 90, 91, nothing. 92, the WWF title was vacant and on the line in the Rumble, and Flair won. But then in 93, when Yokozuna won, he was the first man to ever win a title shot at WrestleMania by winning the Rumble. That, of course, he won at WrestleMania 9 against Bret Hart, but then lost immediately to Hulk Hogan, brother. That's right. He couldn't escape Big Terry beating you at the end of the night. But, yeah, that's when it started, 93. So it wasn't always the case. So Hogan won in 90 and 91, but it was just like a match that they had once a year. It was a big match, and it was like, yeah, of course Hogan's going to win. If he's in it, he has to win. It's Hogan. Makes sense.
Well, it's the man. The man's got to win, right? Like, that's kind of the logic here, right?
I think this makes less sense.
Well,
she's not Hulk
Rhea
Hogan. She's cool. I like Becky Lynch, but I mean,
oof.
Man, I missed it. What happened to Jeff Hardy?
That was a crazy. Oh, he's just killed himself right there.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll show replay. You might want to take a look, possibly, if they'll show that again. But yeah, Jeff.
He just crashed through a table. Jeff and Darby Allin wrestling on Rampage. Here comes a replay. Swanton. Ooh, misses the Swanton off the top rope to the outside, through the table to the floor. Jeff Hardy is down. That was rough. Darby's trying to pick up his lifeless corpse and throw him into the ring to get the win.
This is easily the best Jeff Hardy match in a while, I think.
There have been 6 Women's Royal Rumbles, John. I said that number just kind of guessing, but I was exactly correct. Asuka won the first. Becky won the second. Charlotte won the third. Bianca won the fourth. Ronda won the fifth. Rhea won last year's Women's Royal Rumble. And this year, Johnny North is predicting Becky Lynch to become the first ever 2-time winner of the Women's Rumble. In the seventh ever Women's Rumble. I would like to see Bayley win. I'd like to see Bayley win to get one on her record. I like Bayley. But
I agree with your thinking.
I see from the story perspective that it would make sense for Becky to win and for Bayley to lose, and then have Damage Control kind of turn on her, because that's been the story going with Damage Control. Like, they're with her as long as she's successful, and when she's not, they kind of turn their backs, and the big plan is for her to win the Rumble, and if she fails that, then they'll really turn their backs on her.
Well, I mean, they could turn their back on her before, right? And then that could help set her up to win the Rumble, but they need that turn. Without that turn, you don't really feel sorry for her, and her winning the Rumble, I don't think would get a big reaction. Becky winning the Rumble would get a major reaction, and people are dying for that, actually, I think, for Becky to win, because she's kind of lost a little bit lately. And with that promo that she did against Rhea, even, she's even saying, I'm the underdog if I wrestled you at WrestleMania, but I got to prove I can do this. I got to prove I can win that title. And Rhea said, I'll see you at WrestleMania, because even she believes it's going to happen. I mean, we all know it's going to happen, really, so why not?
Yeah, it seems like Becky might win the Rumble. It does seem that way, John. I can't argue with, what I saw this week from the WWE made me think, I think John might be right. So
it's okay. It happens.
But I want Bayley to win, John. Here's the, But, WWE always does this to me. I want somebody to win, and I think, it makes sense if they win. They should win. And then they don't win the Rumble. I'm always disappointed at the Royal Rumble. Thank God Daniel Bryan doesn't wrestle for WWE anymore. Wherever that guy is, I don't know. There's a guy that looks a lot like him, Bryan Danielson in AEW. He's really good. But thankfully, I don't have to see him in Royal Rumbles anymore. Or not in Rumbles 1 year. And the fans were really unhappy with that. Remember when Rey Mysterio got booed out of the building because they didn't put Daniel Bryan in the Royal Rumble? That was crazy. Everybody expected Bryan. Bryan expected at number 30, and then Rey comes in as like a surprise entrant, and everybody's like, boo, Rey. They weren't booing Rey.
It's the only time he got booed, I think.
Yeah, right? What'd you say about Bryan? He's the best?
Like, I think I was watching that Rumble. It was 2015, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. I was just checking, because on Sportsnet Plus, you have so many Rumbles. They have Rumble like 2012 to like now. All the Rumbles. And I think they even have the first one, 1988 as well.
Okay.
Which is hard to get, by the way. If you were a tape collector and all that, that was a tough one to get.
Yeah. Rumble coming up next week. We'll do the Rumble post show. We'll do the Rumble preview next week on the show. Tonight we had a lot of Roman Reigns. Roman, he wants to not wrestle at the Rumble. He doesn't want to have the Fatal 4-Way. He wants Jimmy and Solo and Heyman to fix it. So they're going to fix it. And AJ Styles comes out for the contract signing. He signs the contract. LA Knight comes out. He signs it. Randy comes out, signs it. Roman Reigns is introduced by Nick Aldis, but he doesn't come out. Paul Heyman comes out, and he's like, Roman doesn't want to do the match. And Nick Aldis says, well, if he doesn't do the match, then these three will wrestle a triple threat for the vacant title. He's like basically saying he's going to strip Roman of the belt.
Big. Wow.
Yeah, that's a big move there from Nick Aldis. Heyman says it should be a one-on-one match for Roman, and LA Knight actually agrees and said it should be him versus Roman. And then AJ doesn't like this because he's like, well, they beat me up, and then you stepped over me and took the title shot. It should be mine. And then they're arguing, and Randy's just in the corner watching LA and AJ argue. And then AJ punches LA, and then they brawl to the stage. And suits and referees come to separate LA and AJ. And then Randy gets on the mic and says he's going to beat Solo tonight, then hit an RKO on Roman, which was not a prediction, John. That was a spoiler because he did do both. Cut to the main event where Randy Orton is wrestling Solo Sikoa. Well, I guess it started before, right? Because AJ Styles and LA Knight really don't like each other, and they were wrestling a match, but that ended in a no contest when Solo and Jimmy attacked them, and Solo hit AJ with the Samoan spike, and then he called out Randy Orton and said, let's go, 2 down, 1 to go, bring it, Randy. So Jimmy Uso comes out during the Solo and Randy match, and LA Knight and AJ Styles kind of take out Jimmy Uso on the ramp, and then they start walking to the ring, and Solo goes to hit the Samoan spike, but Randy reverses out of it, hits the RKO, 1, 2, 3 on Solo, and it just struck me at that moment. At one point, Solo was winning all the matches, never taking falls. He's lost quite a few lately. Doesn't look as strong as he did like a month or two ago.
Ever since he beat Cena, he hasn't won a match.
What's up with that? They keep saying he beat Cena. Like, they keep saying he beat Cena. He beat John Cena, and then you see him, RKO, LA Knight beats him. Like, everybody's beating him now. It's weird.
It's one of those things where it's kind of like what Baron Corbin had, remember? Like, they're like, oh, he's a big thing. He ended Kurt Angle. He pretty much always lost everybody. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like that with Solo now. It's like, well, he has something, but he'll lose to everybody else pretty much. So
Yeah,
it's kind of too bad with him.
he's just like a goon for Roman now, and losing. And Randy just beats him clean, just kind of pushed out of his finisher. He's like, no, take my finisher. Boom, 1, 2, 3. Seemed very easy for Randy, And Randy was distracted. It seemed like a moment where Solo, off the distraction, could hit the Samoan spike and get the win. But Randy just beats him. Randy's looked very strong since coming back. I don't think he's taken a loss. LA, AJ, and Randy stood in the ring by themselves after the match. LA punched AJ. Randy hit the RKO on LA Knight, then hit an RKO on AJ Styles. But then Roman Reigns out of nowhere with a Superman punch. And Roman stood over the 3 beaten men, looking real cocky, and decided, okay, I am going to sign the contract for this match. I can beat these guys. So he signs the contract. The match is official. And he sets up for the spear, but of course runs right into Randy Orton, who hits him with the RKO. And Randy stands tall at the end of this one, hitting RKOs on LA Knight, AJ Styles, and even the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. 1 week from tomorrow night, fatal 4-way for the world title, WWE title, whatever the hell it's called, Roman's belt. And I think Roman's got to retain. And we are expecting Roman to walk into WrestleMania as champion to face his so-called cousin, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That's the match. It's got to happen. Right? You're still feeling that, right? Nothing has made you feel otherwise in the past week, John? We're still on the same page. The Rock is coming back. Him and Roman, WrestleMania. You haven't heard anything that says he's not?
If anything, maybe that would be a triple threat as well. They throw Cody in there. But to me, you don't need to do that. Like a singles match, that's what people want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Roman versus The Rock 1-on-1. A 3-way, it just complicates the matter a little bit, and it's kind of messy that way.
I think if you do the triple threat, it would be Cody with Punk and Seth.
Yeah. No, that's a better match, too. It flows better. I think the styles mesh better that way.
Mm-hmm.
With this, it's just odd if you had Cody in there. And it would take away from what the match could be. A Roman Rock match, that could be like the new Rock Hogan.
It could be, but different circumstances. Rock Hogan was a whole other thing.
I'm not
Hogan,
saying in terms of the match. Like
Hogan had just come back to WWE, and he was like NWO Hogan, and people wanted that red and yellow, but we weren't quite getting it. And then in the match, it was just like, give us classic Hulkster. We love Hulkster. We don't care that he's NWO Hogan. We love him. We know he's supposed to be the heel, but we don't care. And it flipped. But you could tell that was going to happen. And this is different with Roman and Rock. If anything, I could see Roman getting cheered. Rock going in as a babyface, Roman going in as a heel, and that flipping during the match where Rock gets booed and Roman gets cheered. Maybe. But I don't think that the people are going to boo The Rock.
It's Philadelphia, though. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Everybody loves The Rock. Everybody. You love him.
Yeah, but if anyone...
I love him. Who would boo The Rock?
Oh, Philly fans would boo a lot of people, I'm sure.
I've been to shows in Philly. They're not that bad.
Was that not the show where you flipped off the Miz?
Yeah, at that show in Philly, my brother and I from Montreal were the most outrageous, disgusting fans in the building. I was at that show in Philly fully expecting everybody to be as filthy and vile as I was. Before I was a father, I was a different man. And they were not filthy or vile. I was really shocked. I was like, come on, I thought this was Philadelphia. I thought you guys were cool. This was a long time ago, guys, okay? Before I was a father. I want to preface that. That's very important to mention because I really have changed a lot, John. I would not be flipping off wrestlers on TV proudly today. I think I've changed my behavior. I'm a different man. I've grown.
Wow. Remorse.
No remorse. It was funny. Jerry Lawler thought it was funny on the pay-per-view. He was laughing. No, it was a funny moment. I don't regret it. I just don't think that I would do it today because I'm trying to set a better example.
Yeah,
I have to set an example. I can't be flipping people off. My son might see it and be like, "Yo, is that cool to do?" And I gotta be like, "No." My daughter might see it and be like, "What is that?" Bad enough, I think she's saying "fuck."
That's terrible.
What happened? She doesn't say a lot of words. She's not quite 2 years old. She says things, and I'm like, "Was that? Did you just say?" I think she might be saying it. I'm not sure. She picks up on words. She doesn't understand that, what's a good word, what's a bad word. When she's old enough, she'll learn. When a baby says fuck, it's just funny. It's barely comprehensible, too. When my son was younger and he used to say truck, it sounded exactly like fuck. And he was walking around a public space at one point going, fuck, 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 fuck. But he was saying truck. But it didn't sound like that. So, it's fine, Sean. All right? Don't worry about me. I'm parenting well. My kids are doing very well.
No, I can attest to that, too, because I remember your son used to call me Johnny Wharf. So, yeah, I remember that.
Well, that's it. I mean, kids learn to speak progressively as they grow. That's how language develops. What the fuck are we talking about? Santos Escobar, Humberto Carrillo, and Angel Garza took on Carlito, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro. And
it wasn't as good as last week. I thought the tag was better last week, to be honest.
Santos, Humberto, and Angel beat Carlito, Joaquin, and Cruz. Santos got the win after sneaking a tag. Carlito didn't see the tag, and Santos rolled him up. It'll be Santos versus Carlito 1-on-1 next week on SmackDown, which is fun. That's not bad. Pete Dunne is Pete Dunne again. He's not Booch. He's no longer Booch. He's Pete Dunne, and he's teaming with Tyler Bate, and I think that's not bad. And they beat Pretty Deadly tonight, and I like Pretty Deadly. I think they're funny. The match was what it was.
I don't know what you like. I guess for some people it's a big deal. To me, it's like this really didn't do much whatsoever. It's a name change, and it's supposed to be like, oh, it's a dramatic change. I don't know what the big difference is besides the fact they give him a different name, really. That's about it. Nothing's really changed. He pretty much wears the same outfit, doesn't he? Like, anyways, he wrestles the same.
Mm-hmm.
What's really changed?
Nothing, but what changed between when he was Pete Dunne and then he changed to Butch?
Well, with Butch, at least...
He wore a hat?
Like, he wore a hat, and he'd have this little outburst, right? He'd just go crazy sometimes.
But those didn't last.
They didn't last, but he had something.
Yeah, he was like a rabid dog for like a month, and then he was just a man for the past 6 months. He's been a man, and now he's got a new tag partner, and I think it works. I think it makes sense. I think they're a good tag team. I like it. I didn't hate Katana Chance and Kaden Carter versus Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I thought it was okay. The finisher was cool. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter are the women's tag team champions. I liked Bayley on commentary during this match. I think that added to the presentation of the whole thing. Bayley's very entertaining. She's great on commentary. She's really good. When she's done wrestling, I would like to see her on commentary permanently.
I agree. I thought the match was good. I thought Bayley was good on commentary. The only problem I had with it, and kind of this goes into last week a little bit, they haven't been around Fire and Dawn, and suddenly, they're getting a tag team title shot. That didn't make any sense whatsoever, and there's no build towards this, so the crowd was dead completely because no one really had any invested interest in this. There was some great action, though. Like, the effort was there. It's just the build was terrible. The tag champs didn't even get an entrance. So it was hard for people to really care about this.
It wasn't bad though, right? I was watching it. I was like, "Oh, okay." It felt like okay. Chance and Carter are wrestling people that they know and have wrestled before on NXT, and they kind of have this match down. And they had it down. Like, they know each other, they know each other's stuff, and I feel like Chance and Carter haven't really been shown in the most positive ways on TV because they've been wrestling people that they're not that comfortable with, or the style is weird. It's just, it's been a lot of Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, and those matches haven't been great. This was better. I think Isla Dawn and Alba Fire are pretty good too. Like, I think they're good as well. I hope that they get more in the future because I think that there's something there with those two. The finisher they have, Chance and Carter, is really nice. That was a cool tag team finishing move.
What I like is they have multiple tag finishers. So that kind of keeps it interesting. Or it's like, well, it could end here, it might not end here kind of thing. And if it doesn't end with that one, they'll try another one. So that's kind of neat that they have that. But again, they got to build towards things. And I feel people haven't been able to really get attached to them because just it's kind of enforced upon us that, oh, well, they're here. They're doing their thing. And they like to go out and party. That's their
they go to raves. Are they doing MDMA? Like, what's the story?
Well, we have no idea. They don't really tell us whatsoever. We had that one segment where Green and Niven like tried to attack them or like get them to agree to a match or something, and that was it. And that was just terrible. That was one of the worst. Again, just bad segments that they have, and you don't really care about this, sadly, because they're not built properly.
And I feel like they're going to drop the belts to Asuka and Kairi Sane when they defend them next week on SmackDown, because how the hell do they survive that? How do they book their way out of not losing the belts? Come on. Asuka and Kairi should win the tag belts next week, and if they don't, they'll get a rematch and win them, because there's no way that Chance and Carter are going to beat them clean next week. It's not going to be a clean win. If they win, it'll be some sort of confusion, whatever, ref mistake, cheating. I don't know. But I feel like Kairi and Asuka are just going to take the belts. And we're going to go into the Rumble set up with Io as, the plan was for Damage Control, Io is champion, Kairi and Asuka become tag champs, Bayley wins the Rumble. When Bayley fails to win the Rumble, then, they turn on her because she has failed in her mission where they have all succeeded, and they kick her out, and then Bayley fights back against Damage Control. I feel like that's where we're headed right now, and if Asuka and Kairi do indeed win the tag belts on SmackDown Friday night, be prepared, Johnny, for me to be predicting Becky Lynch as the Rumble winner next week. Even though I've been saying Bayley all the way, you always say, I'm saying this now, but I'll wait until, our official preview to make it official. And I'm going to pull that card now, too, John. I'm going to say, I've been saying Bayley, but I may say Becky on next Friday's show when we preview the Rumble. Because, if Kairi and Asuka win the tag belts especially, I think it's kind of set up for Bayley to fail and Damage Control to turn on her.
Well, I throw this out where, let's say it's because of Bayley, she screws up or something, Kabuki Warriors don't win, and then they turn on her before the Rumble, then I could see Bayley win the Rumble. So that could happen.
Yeah.
But will that happen is the question. That needs to kind of happen. That turn, again, needs to happen. Then I could see Bayley win the Rumble. But if the turn doesn't happen, I don't see Bayley win the Rumble. So
I think a lot depends. On
SmackDown.
Yeah, a lot depends on next week's SmackDown, for sure. That tag title match is going to be very important. Next week's SmackDown, we also have Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits facing off with Karrion Kross and the AOP and Scarlett. And
is that a match yet? That's going to happen?
Scarlett and Legion of Doom's manager.
Paul Ellering.
Paul Ellering, thank you. Precious Paul Ellering. Just wasn't clicking. It's not a match. It's a face-to-face confrontation on SmackDown.
Ah, dang.
Yeah. Carlito will wrestle Santos Escobar in a match. Caden Carter and Katana Chance defending the tag titles against the Kabuki Warriors, all advertised for SmackDown next week. And Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory in a rematch as well. They did a little promo tonight. That whole angle they did last week was an angle. It wasn't an injury, as we suspected.
But again, Austin, like the way he landed, that
it looked
was very
rough.
Dangerous.
It was done
It was
well.
very rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, if I wouldn't do it that well ever again, to be honest. That was way too good.
Yeah, it was so good, people thought it was real. I really liked the Kevin Owens Logan Paul promo tonight. I thought that was one of the highlights of SmackDown. Kevin said some good things there. I thought he cut some good promo, good material there on Logan Paul. Logan says Kevin Owens, the reason he's in the WWE, and played the clip of Kevin Owens giving him the stunner at WrestleMania 2021 before Logan had even had a match. And Logan said he was so embarrassed he decided to prove Kevin and the WWE that he belonged. And Kevin says, I don't really remember that because you're just one of many stunners. I've hit a bunch of these. You're just another guy to me. You're not that.
That's funny.
You're not that special.
Kevin remembers everything, but that happens to be just a whatever kind of thing. Kevin remembers all the little details ever in wrestling, but that thing, whatever. So that makes it even funnier.
Kevin says, Logan, you're really good. You're way better at this than I thought you were, but you're still not one of us. You're not like Seth Rollins or Sami Zayn or Rey Mysterio, and you're certainly not anything like me, which I thought was good. Kevin Owens is telling Logan Paul what I think a lot of wrestling fans feel. Like, you are good at a lot of aspects of wrestling, but you're not really a wrestler. You're a celebrity wrestler who has stuck around and shows up once in a while, and that's all well and good, but you're not Rey Mysterio, and it's all cool. And then Logan Paul lists his accomplishments and says, thank God I'm not like you guys. I'm actually better. Look at me. I'm Logan Paul. I have this. I have that. I'm a big-time star. And Kevin Owens says, that's fine. And I heard you on commentary saying a lot of things about me, talking about my weight, talking about how I look. And we both know that there are things that I'm not allowed to say about you, Logan Paul, because you're protected. And I thought that line was especially good because I believed it 100%. Yeah. There are definitely things that Kevin Owens cannot say about Logan Paul. I bought that fully. So that was good. He says he's protected, and he's like, you can call yourself the U.S. champion, but as far as everybody watching is concerned, it's a joke, and you're a joke, which I thought was good. Like, he's not Gunther. He's not like a champion that's respected. He's a U.S. champion for now. It's a prop. It's not real. He's not respected as a wrestling champion. And I thought Kevin Owens delivered that point extremely well tonight. And he says he won't wear the cast at the Rumble. He won't use it as a weapon, and he'll even take it off now. And then he goes to take off the cast, and Logan Paul sucker punches him, and you think, oh, Logan's knocked him out. But Kevin gets back up, and he starts fighting with Logan Paul. But eventually, Logan slams Kevin's injured hand into the ring post, and he's all hurt. And then Logan kind of prances around and celebrates. So he did leave him hurt. So Kevin Owens going into the match next week for the U.S. title, selling an injured hand that he won't wear a cast for, so he cannot protect.
The only thing I didn't like was the fact that when Kevin had him down doing mountain punches, he was punching him with the hand he just took the cast off of. Oh. Like, if the hand is really hurt,
yeah.
Like, would you use the other hand? Like, I mean, I get it if you're right hand and all that, it's a reflex maybe, and that's probably what it was, just a reflex of him doing that. But
yeah,
in terms of like the psychology of it, that didn't make sense.
Yep. As far as the match, though, it does give the WWE an out with the Kevin Owens injury thing.
100%.
You know, he'll lose to Logan Paul, but it won't be 100% Kevin Owens losing to Logan Paul. So that is what I expect from the Rumble next week, and I expect it to be a very good match because Kevin Owens is excellent, and he knows it's a big spot and a big match, and he's going to give it 100%. And I think Logan Paul is capable. He's a capable athlete and seems like he likes being in the WWE. He delivered his lines really well. He said some good stuff. I thought Kevin was better because Kevin is, like he said, he's the real deal pro wrestler. But I really liked the promo tonight. I thought it was very good.
No, it was good back and forth. It got the heat. People were interested. Kevin is just great at responding. And, I think Kevin's great at knowing how a lot of fans feel, and he was able to convey that with his promo.
Yep. He is a man of the people, the voice of the voiceless, Kevin Owens. I can't wait for him and CM Punk at some point. That'll be fun. I hope they go there.
Maybe.
Where's Sami Zayn?
He took some time off. Remember, he said he was going to be taking some time off, I think, when they had that whole Drew took him out kind of thing.
Oh. Is he going to be in the Rumble?
That's a good question. He only came back for those shows that we saw, the Raw, the Laval show.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the MSG show or something like that. But yeah, he only came back for those house shows.
Huh. Odd time to take time off. It's kind of like the most important season for WWE, right?
I mean, just come back for the Rumble. I mean, that's a good reaction, no?
Maybe he'll just come back in the Rumble. I hope he's in the Rumble. He should be in the Rumble, right? He's one of the top stars in the company.
How many people we got for the Rumble so far? 10?
Not many. Let's see. Royal Rumble. What year is it? 2025?
24.
24 only? Weak.
Only, yeah.
I was ready for the future. Men in the Rumble, we have 6 of a possible 30.
Wow.
6 announced. Cody, Punk, Nakamura, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Gunther. 6.
So pretty much Raw.
Raw and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
But you would expect if Lashley's in it, Karrion Kross will probably be in it too.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Maybe the Street Profits and the AOP find their way in it. That's 10 right there.
Oh, they could fill out the men's one easily. I'm not worried about that. The women's one, they'll have to bring back, women stars of the past.
Probably. Some NXT people as well.
Yeah.
Naomi might be making her return in the Rumble.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Because I think she's finished up her TNA stuff, right?
She's going back to WWE.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, that's the word. I mean, her husband works there. It makes sense. I'd like to see Naomi join the Bloodline with Jimmy.
Yeah, it'd be all right. Be all right. If she did that, she'd have to become the champion. She could be Bayley, I guess. Bayley was the title. That makes sense.
Yeah, how does Naomi, if Naomi does return in the Rumble, how does she figure into WrestleMania plans? Don't forget, when she left, it was a big deal. And her coming back may be a big deal as well. And it may be a different character. I don't know. Maybe she comes back and she's the same Naomi and she's dancing and doing all that. Or maybe she comes back and it's different. I'd like to see it be different. I'd like to see a heel Bloodline Naomi. But I know that in the past she's not had success as a heel. It's not really work for her. I think she prefers working babyface. She is a babyface. She smiles a lot. She's got that personality. The way she wrestles, too, is very flashy. She's a good babyface. Mm-hmm. But as a heel, I think, could be interesting. But they might not go there. But I do think she's going to be in the Women's Rumble. Haven't heard of too many other surprises. But I think it's kind of fun not knowing who's in the Rumble. Like going in with 6 men, 4 women, whatever announced. It's like, well, we'll see on the night who shows up. But it's probably going to be like, oh, there's Omos and there's, whatever. Carmelo Hayes. Cool. Oh, my God.
I think you're right.
Who's number 16 in the Rumble? It's Grayson Waller. And you go, What about Dwayne winning the Rumble? Jimmy James asks. I don't think so. I don't think he'll be at the Rumble. He doesn't need to win the Rumble to face Roman. All he needs to do is raise the eyebrow. Match set.
By the way, speaking of the Elimination Chamber, they confirmed 5 a.m. start time.
Cool.
So, yeah. Well, get ready for that.
They announced somebody was going to be there, right? Was it Punk or Cody?
I think maybe both, to be honest.
Yeah. I could see both. No Roman.
And possibly no Seth.
Yeah, well, we'll see Monday with Seth, right? Okay, how about Kazuchika Okada leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling? Okada is one of the best pro wrestlers in the world today. All signs point to him going to AEW. He's worked for AEW before. He's got a lot of friends in AEW. I think he's going to AEW, which is huge for AEW. Like, it makes losing Punk not so bad. Like, if you lose Punk, but
thing.
I mean, it's different, but losing Punk and then gaining an Okada, and I understand Okada is not the same type of star, he's not as big of a star, but as far as a piece of talent, getting a piece of talent into your company, getting a diamond like Kazuchika Okada is like, it's so big. He's so good. Like, it would be massive for AEW to get him. It would be massive for WWE to get him. For any wrestling company, signing Kazuchika Okada at this point in time is huge. He is one of the greatest IWGP heavyweight champions of all time. He is the number 1 guy in New Japan Pro Wrestling. If he did not leave, he would be champion again. He is the top guy. He is the best. He is big. He is handsome. He is the fucking Rainmaker. He's perfect in every way of professional wrestling. English promos, I don't know. I don't think that's there right now. So how does that work in WWE or AEW? Time will tell. I think he can learn, and I think he speaks some English, so he'll get there. He'll get what he needs. He'll get what he needs across. He'll get his point across. But Kazuchika Okada is the man. He is the fucking man. Look at his matches. Watch his match at Wrestle Kingdom with Bryan Danielson this year. Okada is the number 1. So for him to be leaving New Japan and possibly heading to AEW is such a score for AEW. Crazy. So good for them. I think it would be cool to see him in WWE too. I just don't think it's going to happen. The word is he's going to AEW, and that's huge. They need that. He's a game changer. He's a game changer, but CM Punk is a needle mover. And I don't think that Kazuchika Okada is going to move the needle right away. I don't think Okada comes into AEW and all of a sudden draws ratings or fans necessarily. He may draw... I think people will probably buy tickets to see Okada, but I don't know if people are going to be tuning in droves to see Okada right away. But as it develops and as it grows, hopefully he will be a massive star for that company. But because, he's wrestled in Japan, he's a Japanese guy, people don't really necessarily know him as a major wrestling star in North America. It may take some time, but, I'm a huge fan of his work. He's just so good. the fact that he's leaving Japan is crazy to me. Because he's one of the best wrestlers in the world today, if not the best. In the ring, like, it's very hard to say anybody's better than, it's hard to say anybody's better than Okada.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you on that one. He's definitely one of the best wrestlers I've seen that is wrestling today, without question. It's just like you said, though, too, is he going to be over, though, in AEW right away? I feel that might take some time. It all depends on how they use him. I feel like Jay White, like, he got over, but it took some time. It didn't happen
but now,
right away.
Like, if they treat him like Jay White, I'm going to be very upset. Because they're not treating Jay White like a world champion.
He had his moment, and now he's kind of where he's at. It's not bad, but he's where he's at. You would think Okada, they'd use him better, but time will tell on that one. It all depends how things work out. To me, you got to put him up against the top tier competition, because that's what people want to see. That will get people interested in him.
Yep.
But he also can't just lose every match, though, too. That's also going to be important. He's also got to be competitive with the top people as well.
He should win a lot of the matches that he has. And if he does sign with AEW for a multi-year deal, he should be the champion pretty quick.
If not the champion quick, at least, up there, like contending without question.
I'd give him the belt. It's fucking Okada. Like, if you have an opportunity to make Okada your world champion, you make Okada your world champion. If you have that type of guy, it's like if AEW got Roman Reigns and they're like, yeah, we'll make him champion, but like, we'll wait and, whatever, eventually, It's like, no. You have Roman Reigns, like, he's a top guy. You make him your number one guy. You have this opportunity to put a real legit number one ace star as your world champion. That's Okada. Make him the champion. I would push him to the belt very quickly. I would not waste time. Because the more time you waste, the less he feels like that megastar, and the more you go, oh, is he just another one of the guys?
Well, let me ask you this. Who'd you make champion first, Okada or Ospreay?
Okada.
Wow, okay.
Ospreay is nothing compared to Okada. Nothing.
I mean, for a lot of people feel Ospreay's the best wrestler, so I mean, it's tough there too.
Those people know that. No. I don't even believe that, John. I don't believe that there are people out there that think Will Ospreay is better than Okada. I don't think that's true. Do you think Will Ospreay is better than Okada?
Maybe not overall, but last year, apparently everyone said Ospreay was the best wrestler, and I think you would even argue he had the best matches over Okada last year.
I mean, maybe, but I think you would have a very hard time finding any wrestling fan that knows anything about wrestling that would say Ospreay is better than Okada and not have to say better at this than Okada. Like, you got just better wrestler than Okada. I think it's very hard to say anybody's better than Okada. He's that good. He's that good. That's, like, I hold him in that high regard. He is incredible. I'm very happy to see him come into an AEW because they need something like that. I mean, I'm not saying Ospreay is nothing. I'm just saying Ospreay is nothing compared to Okada. Compared to Okada, he's not. He's never been IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Wait,
right.
no, wait, I mean, no. Maybe he was. No, I think he maybe was.
Oh, was he?
Wait, was he? He held some sort of belt there. I don't think
he won a bunch of titles. I didn't think he won the actual title, but
I don't think he won the big one.
He was U.S. champ.
Yeah. Like, he did some shit, but I don't think he ever won the big one. IWGP.
Did he ever win the
No, he did. No, he did one time. Yeah, no. He did one time. Yeah. He beat Ibushi for it. Yeah. A couple years ago. 3 years ago. And then he vacated the belt a month later. Because he had a neck injury. So he did have the belt. He beat Ibushi. Like, just as they were about to make him the guy, he got hurt and had to drop the belt. And then Shingo became champion. And then Okada. And then Jay White. And then Okada. And then Sonata. And now Naito.
Well, he's up there. Yeah, I mean, to me, that's a big match to build towards eventually. But they got to build both those guys up first before you get to that point.
To get Okada, Ospreay, Sasha Banks as new stars for AEW in 2024, that's exactly what this company needs, right? That's big.
Huge, yeah. It definitely would need that, I would say. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, so I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it happens, that's definitely what I think they need.
Because I watched Dynamite this week, John, and again, I feel like this show needs some stars. It needs a little star power.
Collision.
Are they?
I mean, when we talk about what happened last week on Collision, we're talking about what's going to happen next week on Collision. Because last week, if you count Battle of the Belts, you had Jericho. Did you watch that crazy street fight match?
Yeah.
Like Jericho and Sammy? That was nuts.
Yeah. Jericho took some crazy stuff.
Sammy with the Shane McMahon dive thing, whoa.
Yep. That was a crazy match. But is that really star power, John? Ricky Starks and Big Bill?
I would say Jericho and Sammy Guevara. That's
Jericho.
Star power. And then was the tag team
Jericho.
titles.
But star power. I mean, come on, man. We opened Dynamite this week with a good match, but it was Christian, who's still a star, against Dustin Rhodes, who's no longer a star in wrestling. He's, a respected guy, and the match was good, but when you open a show with that, you kind of go, wow, man. I don't know. And that I don't want to go on about that match because, it was fine. It was what it was. But I just look at Christian and I'm like, oh, he's kind of an old guy. Then I look at Dustin and I'm like, oh, he's way older. What's that? What is this? Dustin but I just don't believe in him winning anything ever in AEW.
Well, this is a big reason why you got to watch Collision, because this kind of tied in what happened in Collision last week. Because Dustin beat, I think it was Willie Mack, and then Christian cut a promo on him saying that he used to have a father. And that's how that all started. That was fantastic.
I saw that.
I'm like, yes. Okay, you saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
Dustin, you had a father, and of course your father, Dusty Rhodes, we all know is dead. Yeah, but so what? We still have. I mean, why is Dustin Rhodes getting a TNT title shot on Dynamite to start a show?
Well, they mentioned it, and it was really kind of cool when you think about it, that he's always been involved in the TNT title history. He was involved in the first tournament for it. He was one of the first challengers for Brody Lee when he was the champion. He's always been chasing that TNT title, and it's always eluded him. So this was a big reason why he wanted to get it. To me, honestly, I was like, man, they could give it to him. Especially when they had him kick out of Christian's Unprettier. When he kicked out of the kill switch, I'm like, wow, are they going to give it to him? He didn't, but I was like, man, I was into it. The crowd showed it too. The crowd was really behind Dustin, start to finish.
I don't buy Goldust in 2024.
I'll say this too about Dustin. I find he hits a better crossroads than Cody does. His crossroads are always better. Granted, it's probably the guy bumping like crazy for it, but he was really good. And both guys, I thought Christian and Dustin were bumping like crazy. For two guys you say they're very old, they didn't seem like they were that slow in that match.
I mean, the match is good. I just recognize them as very old wrestlers that have been wrestling forever. And Christian is still relevant in AEW, where Dustin is not really. He comes in and out every once in a while, and when he does, he loses. So, like, it's not about how he can't work anymore. Like, he can still wrestle. The match was fine. It's just, it doesn't scream like big time wrestling. It doesn't make you go, whoa, can't believe they're doing this. You go, wow, I can't believe they're doing this. This is weird. It's not main event.
The opening
it's
match.
Not, yeah, opening match sometimes in Dynamite is very good. It's very big. It's current. It means something. This was a match you knew Christian was going to win. Well, everybody except Johnny, apparently. I don't understand how you didn't see that one coming.
I think the crowd was also behind Dustin, too. And if you watched, if you were paying attention to Collision, like how over Dustin was, like, I think people really wanted to see it. I wanted to see it, to be honest.
Dustin was over on Collision because he was wrestling a man called Willie Mack that no one ever heard of. So during the match, they were cheering for Goldust because they know Goldust and they don't know Willie Mack. And that's why Dustin was over during that match. And it might have been I was in Virginia, wasn't even in Texas. So I can't explain it. Chris Jericho, Matt Sydal did a little promo to set up their match tonight that Jericho won. And then we had Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy beating Pentagon and Commander. Like, where are the stars on this show? And then it got worse. Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett came out after the match, and Roderick Strong wants an international title shot against Orange at Revolution on March 5th. So that's real exciting. Roderick Strong and Orange
3rd, no?
Cassidy. I thought it was the 5th. Whatever. Revolution in March.
If it's the 5th, that's going to be rough. It'd be like a Tuesday, though.
I don't know. Whatever, dude. It's fucking in March. First Saturday in March. Sunday in March. The 3rd. It's the 3rd. Okay? Jeez. No star power here. It's not working.
It starts to pick up, though, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Mark Briscoe cut a promo about his brother dying a year ago, and the family was there. It was an emotional moment.
It was quite incredible, to be honest. Like that was the way he talked about it too. Like how he said, like his niece was told he's never going to walk again. And then he said, however, and then you see her walk out.
And then she walked out. Wow. Yeah, that was nice. That was cool.
Powerful.
It was a nice moment. Yeah, it was a nice, sad moment too, though, with the family crying in the front row. Yeah, and then the Young Bucks were interviewed backstage by Renee, and this is when business picked up, right? When the Bucks start talking.
This is the big part.
This is good with the Bucks. I like this new Young Bucks gimmick that they have going. They say they want to be called Nicholas and Matthew because they're executive vice presidents and they need to be taken seriously. And Renee asked the Bucks about rumors about them. And Matt asks Renee what she would do to protect her life's work. Would she be willing to lose relationships with coworkers, friends, and even your legacy and reputation to ensure a thriving wrestling company called AEW? Matt Jackson says they started to lean on yesterday's superficial, cancerous superstars, and that's where AEW started going wrong. Superficial, cancerous superstars. I think he's talking about CM Punk, John. And Matt says he's not talking about Sting when he says that, because Sting's a good guy, but he wants to take out what Sting represents, and they're going to do that when they beat Sting and Darby at the pay-per-view. So, kind of cutting a promo about Sting, but not really. Just kind of setting the tone with this new gimmick, and still taking shots at CM Punk.
Yeah, like, to me, it's like, why did you have to say, like, Sting's a nice guy? Like, just say that Sting represents that old guard and we want to take him down. Like, you could have just said that. Like, you didn't have to say the whole part, like, oh, we don't mean Sting in that, because then that kind of takes away a bit of the heat in a sense. Because when we talk about the story, when it gets into that match, they're going to be pushing over the fact that, the Bucks want to take out the old guard kind of thing. That's the story they're pushing. Not that they feel Sting isn't part of that, but they said that, and that kind of killed it a little bit, sadly. But I guess they had to feel they needed to put the difference between Sting and Punk because they knew people knew there'd be a difference. So we had to definitely state that.
Yeah. Oh, Sting, we don't like you, but man, you know who we really hate? CM Punk. He doesn't even work here, but man, we're still cutting promos about that bastard. What a dick. Like, what was that? It was crazy. But I think it's part of what they're doing right now. Like, I think they're trying to rile people up.
They got people talking, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
You know? And I think they're just going to keep doing that kind of stuff because when people see them, they're still thinking about it. You know? A lot of people are blaming them, and I'm sure a lot of people in AEW are kind of blaming them for whatever happened there. And they're running with it, which I think makes sense because it's on them right now. You know, like that Punk stuff, it's on them. They gotta go with it because they're not gonna get the stink off of them by ignoring it. People are gonna chant his name. People are gonna say things. You know, if you lean into it, I think you can make it work for you.
And if anything, I feel this should be their tie-in to bring back Jack Perry, where he's like, oh, he's like one of us kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. They could do that. He showed up at New Japan, Jack Perry, and he tore up an AEW contract. So maybe he's staying in Japan for a bit, though?
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't just come back because he was suspended. And my guess is they're just deciding that, you know, there's some sort of punishment. And this is kind of it. Like, he's not going to just come back. He's going to have to do something else in the meantime. And this is kind of what he's doing.
Yeah.
Which is
maybe
probably
he's like,
not a bad thing.
He might be on loan to New Japan. Like AEW's like, we can't have you around here, so go wrestle in New Japan for a while. Like, we'll just lend you to them because they have a working relationship. They trade talents, right? I could see him just being on loan to New Japan for as long as necessary, as long as it makes sense before they're ready to bring him back.
Well, also, he hasn't been in the ring since August, right? So maybe a lot of it's just to get that ring rust off.
Yeah. We'll see what's going on with the Jungle Boy, but it was an interesting promo from the Young Bucks, and then we had Jay White and the Ass Boys beating Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony to become the new Ring of Honor Trios champions. Prince Nana tried to interfere, but Anthony Bowens from the Acclaim stopped him to help the guys win, and I guess they're all one big group now. Have they officially done that, or?
No, I don't think they officially done it. They're just teasing it so far. But I was a little confused. So, are they still Bullet Club Gold, or now are they just the Bang Bang Club?
I don't know. I thought it was Bullet Club Gold. Did they change it?
Well, because the song is the Bang Bang Gang, right? But I think they announced them as Bullet Club Gold.
Okay.
But I didn't see any Bullet Club like logo or anything on their gear. I think it just said Bang Bang on their gear.
I don't really care.
Okay.
It's Jay White and the Ass Boys to me.
Well, you were always a big Bullet Club fan. You have Bullet Club merch, so I thought, it was a big deal for you. Bullet Club.
When they were, cool. Bad Luck Fale and Tama Tonga and, Kenny and, The Bullet Club now is, like, not anywhere near what it was. Then you had Deonna Purrazzo beating Anna Jay by submission. And then Deonna was interviewed in the ring, and Toni Storm was on commentary. And Deonna says she's known Toni for a long time. But now she's the best technical wrestler in the world, and she's going to beat her. And then Toni says, technically, you are a fake tanned hag. And she starts cutting a promo on Deonna. I think she said she was going to punch her right in the box.
That's what it sounded like.
I'm pretty sure that's what she said.
Some people said she said would punch you in the butt. But
I think Toni Storm confirmed that it was box.
Okay, good. Because that's what I heard too as well. I'm like, it didn't sound like butt.
Toni Storm is going all out with this character. She's not holding back. She said, punch you in the box. That That adds up to Toni Storm's character right now. That makes sense. I like it. I think her and Deonna Purrazzo could have a really good match at that pay-per-view, so I think that'll be good.
I think it's a little too early to give Purrazzo, like, she just, that's her second match now? Like, I think
yeah, but that's where they're going. Come on. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I know, but honestly, do a tag first.
Yeah.
Then do a singles at the next one. That's what I think. Have it Tony and Mariah against Purrazzo and somebody. Thunder Rosa, possibly, who just came back as well. Do that, and then do a singles at Double or Nothing. Build it up a little bit. Don't just throw her in there right away and then lose the title match.
I don't disagree, but that's kind of what AEW does. They have somebody new, they bring them up to the world title, they have them lose, and then they figure it out afterwards.
Yeah, and then they just kind of fade away. A lot of them, they're just
sometimes they come back.
Doing something.
Sometimes they come back, but sometimes they just fade away.
Yes.
Like they did it to Toni Storm, and then she came back. They did it to Ruby Soho. She didn't come back.
Well, no, she's on Rampage doing whatever.
Yeah, but she didn't come back to the main event scene. Like I'm saying, when they bring you in, they put you in the main event. Once you're out of the main event, you lose a belt, whatever, you lose a title match, you kind of disappear, and then it's up to you to work your way back. But it's a really weird way to introduce people. They don't gradually introduce you. They introduce you, rush you to the top, have you lose the biggest match you could possibly have, and then they kind of shuffle you back around and try to figure out a spot for you after that. It's weird. It's weird.
Remember that Rio push?
Booking. Yeah. What happened to it?
Exactly.
Where'd she go?
Just push.
Where'd she go?
Push to the side.
Where's Sheeta?
Hiding. Also hiding, too.
Where's Thunder Rosa?
Well, no, she's on Collision.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't think she was on last week, was she?
I feel like there was a tag match. I could be mistaken. Actually, no, she was on Dynamite the week prior, remember? Because they did the Brody Lee tribute match.
Okay, yeah. But like former champion, big star in the division, gone for a while, comes back, very little fanfare for Thunder Rosa. Right?
I thought it was a big deal when she came back. I thought it was pretty good. I also feel like they're just slowly easing her back in right now. They just want to see how it goes. Because she came back from a major injury, so I think they want to make sure everything's going to be okay first couple of matches in. Don't want to put her into something really important, then, she gets hurt again kind of thing.
Sting and Darby did a video package, and Darby saying they want to end their AEW run as a tag team as the champions. So there you have it, John. I know you were happy when you saw that, right?
I'm like, yes, this is what we needed. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would have been so upset if this didn't happen ever, so thankfully we're getting it. I mean, it sucks for Ricky Starks and Big Bill, because that means their title reign is coming to an end, but, you got to understand, Sting and Darby, this has to happen.
Yep, I think Sting and Darby as tag team champions going into the match against the Young Bucks is the way to go.
Yep.
So I think it's a matter of time before Sting and Darby take those tag belts from Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Don't know when it'll happen, but maybe on a Collision at some point between now and March. Main event was Samoa Joe versus Hook. I liked it. It was a controversial match. It had some controversy for sure going into it, and even parts of this match have drawn some controversy. Samoa Joe getting the win, choked out Hook with his finishing Coquina clutch chokehold finisher.
I thought I had a great build to start the show. Like right away, we had a good package to start it when the Dynamite started. I was into it right from the start.
Good promos, good video packages. Joe hit a nasty Uranagi on Hook that broke the announce table. Pretty rough, Pretty rough bump. And then the powerbomb on the apron was rough too. That whole sequence outside the ring, he was really giving it to Hook right in front of his daddy Taz, which I thought was really good. And Taz was selling it really well too on commentary. I thought his commentary added to the match. Very good. I thought the match was really good. People were mad that Hook kicked out at 1 after the Muscle Buster. He had taken a vicious beating, but he kicked out at 1 after the Muscle Buster. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought that was, just Hook getting up, firing up. This was his, little comeback. He had his little comeback. Joe grabbed him in the muscle buster, grabbed him in the Coquita clutch, and finished him.
Yeah.
People were mad that Hook kicked out of the muscle buster. But, it happens. I didn't think it was egregious. I don't think it was offensive. It's fine.
Well, we've talked about this before. Like, I don't think it's a big problem about kicking out. Kicking out, I think, would have been fine. It's the kick out at 1. And then getting up right after that, because that's his finish, right? And then just to kick out like that. I think that's where a lot of people are upset, because this has happened before in AEW. We've talked about this, where they just do these kicks out at 1. It's something that happens, I'm guessing, a lot in Japan, where it's like a big fire up, and they pretty much, there's a no-sell or something.
Yeah.
And that's what it seemed like. So I think that is where a lot of the issues come from, where you're building towards something. He's getting his butt kicked for pretty much the whole match.
Yeah.
And then for that to happen, I can see where a lot of people get upset. But I also see where it's like, it's kind of like his hulking up in a sense.
Yeah, he's firing
and you're giving
up.
him something.
Yeah.
I get it. It's just
Hogan
to me,
used to do it. Tatanka used to do it. I mean, I've grown up on wrestling. Guys no-sell a move and fire up. Sting does it. How many times have we seen Sting take a move and then stand back up and be like, and then beating his chest and then beating you up? Like, it's not new, Like, if Sting does it, if Hogan did it, if Tatanka did it, why can't Hook do it?
Well, I just don't think a lot of people believe in Hook. That's the thing, because the size difference, 1.
Yeah, but people were just waiting to shit on this match. I think the people that were mad that Hook was getting a world title shot were mad that Hook kicked out at 1. Like, it was the same group. You know what I mean? Like, I think people were just looking at whatever, trying to find whatever to attack on this match. But if you're looking at it objectively, it was fine. It was actually pretty good.
Well,
and I'm not even
the one thing.
Like, I'm not a Hook fan. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even really like Hook. I don't believe in Hook, but I thought that match made a lot of sense and worked. It was believable the whole way. Hook got his ass kicked. He had a little bit of a comeback, and then he got shut down. He got choked out. Made sense to me.
I agree. I didn't really have much of a problem with the match. I enjoyed the match quite a bit. I thought it was actually did Hook a great service, actually, in that match, even though he lost. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I also feel that he could do that, come back at 2, though. Because I feel like you should at least sell. That's a big move for Joe to do. And just to kick out at 1, it takes away a little bit too much from that move, which I don't think you have to do. I feel like at least a kick out at 2. But it's a little thing, too, though, when I say that. It's not the end of the world that he kicks out at 1 and it's like, oh, now it's a big comeback kind of thing. Yeah. It didn't ruin the match. I just prefer it at 2 because at that point in the match, 1, you've gone through so much that it just makes more sense that it would be a 2 and then to come back. Because even at 2, you kicking out, it's still a shock. But, I mean, that's the way they want to do it. That's fine.
Yeah. I just saw a lot of people getting mad about it, Like, how could they do this? AEW so stupid. This is like, I was like, come on, guys. It's a kick out. It is what it is. But after the match, though, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just don't agree that they do it too much, though. I've said this before in the past. Like these kickouts at 1 on the finishes, like it really takes away from the finishes, and it takes away from the moment too. Like I think that moment's not as special if it happens too much, and because I think it happened too recent, that I think that maybe would hurt it as well. But again, I don't think it really hurt the match whatsoever.
No, I thought it was good. I liked it. I liked it better than Seth and Jinder. I think it probably got a better cage match rating, John. How about that?
It probably did, whatever. I mean, I don't know if I guess you're on cage match. I don't really vote for that kind of stuff. But
I'm
sure.
not. I'm just talking about Tony Khan. Remember last week, the whole thing? Come on, John. Keep up.
Oh, I watched both matches. I definitely enjoyed the Joe and Hook match more, but
yeah.
Let's face. And by the way, like I don't know about you, Jinder looks very like small compared to how he used to be now. Like before, anyways. Like he definitely. I don't know if he's stopped training or something, but he's definitely not as big as he used to be. Maybe injuries or something, but he didn't look as impressive as he used to look.
He hasn't been wrestling as much either, so maybe there have been injuries there. I don't know. After the match there with Hook, Hook was like, "Oh, Joe, is that all you got?" So Joe's like, "Oh, let me beat you up again." So he hit a muscle buster on him. And then Hook got up again, and then Joe went back to the ring to give him more punishment, but then Hangman came out, and Joe decided to bail and not beat up Hook anymore. And then Swerve was standing there in the crowd watching on, so they're continuing to build Hangman, Joe, Swerve, triple threat, likely for Revolution for the title, which I'm looking forward to. So that was all good.
No,
that was all good stuff. I thought Dynamite had its hits and its misses, but overall, I thought it just kind of lacked a certain star power, a certain, a little bit extra. With no Kenny Omega, with no Bryan Danielson, with no Jon Moxley, with no CM Punk, Is Moxley on Collision this week?
Moxley's on Collision. Bryan Danielson and Claudio are teaming on Collision this week. Yeah.
Against
Collision's got all the stars, man. Oh, I forget who exactly, but there's a tag match of Bryan and Claudio. They're teaming. Edge will be on Collision as well. Collision is the star power, man. Collision is the show that they care about now. Or at least, I think it's because they want people to watch Collision more, and they know they have a good show on Dynamite, so they're trying to put more stars on Collision, it looks like.
I guess so. Problem is, there's a UFC pay-per-view tomorrow night, so I'm not going to watch Collision.
Oh, that's too bad. I guess you're going to miss Bryan Danielson wrestling.
Oh, that's well. Okay. Jon Moxley will wrestle Shane Taylor tomorrow night on Collision. Thunder Rosa is going to wrestle tomorrow on Collision. I'm trying to find out what the other matches are, and I'm not really seeing much.
I think Edge has another open challenge. I think Edge is going to do an open challenge every week on Collision. I think that's the plan going forward.
Uh-huh.
I want to say, I think it's Buddy Murphy against Daniel Garcia. I believe that'll also be a match because that's coming off of the fact that we had FTR and Daniel Garcia against House of Black. House of Black won the match. Now we've got the singles match.
Yes, Buddy Matthews and Daniel Garcia one-on-one on Collision. And I think that's about it. I don't know who are Bryan and Claudio wrestling?
It's a tag. I know that for sure.
Okay. Moxley and what's his name?
Shane Taylor. I thought it was just Moxley showing up, but that's nice. Shane Taylor, like, he doesn't usually wrestle on Collision that much, so it's not going to be too competitive, I think. But 5 minutes probably for Moxley. I feel like it might be his first ever match on Collision, if I'm not mistaken, for Moxley.
Eddie Kingston teams with Ortiz to take on Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli.
That's a pretty good match, no?
That's all right.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm still going to be watching the UFC prelims, I think. Big pay-per-view tomorrow. A lot of Canadians on the prelims. I'm watching that. UFC in Toronto. So, a lot of Canadians. Right?
Oh, that's a big pay-per-view.
Yeah, I got to watch Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain is going to be on the prelims. Like, that's the problem, man. It's UFC, on a Saturday night. This is the problem with Collision on a Saturday night because, UFC takes precedence for me still, despite the shit show that it is. But, we've got Yoann Lainez on the early prelims. Yoann Lainez is a Quebec fighter. I'm going to watch him for sure. That's probably going to happen before Collision. But then 8 to 10, we've got TV prelims. Charles Jourdain is fighting Sean Woodson on those TV prelims. Jourdain's another Montreal fighter. I'm not going to miss Jourdain's fight, So these are things I have to see. I cannot miss these fights. I may have Collision on in the background, but it's not my focus on a Saturday. UFC is my focus. And when the UFC runs shows every Saturday, it's tough.
Well, it's pay-per-view too, right? So that's another thing. When it's a fight night, maybe the fight night's not that big of a deal. Yeah, it's not so bad, but
easier to watch Collision on a fight night for sure. I usually have Collision on and the fight night at the same time. But when it's a pay-per-view, especially when we're doing the watch-along here at 10, we're getting ready, we'll see how much I watch Collision. We'll see, but I'll tell you,
I understand.
I will be here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, for the UFC 297 watch-along. AJ will be here. Freddie will be here. A big party for UFC 297, Strickland versus Duplessis. Johnny, before we go, do you have a match you want to promote? When can people see you in the ring?
I don't have a match to promote, but I am going to see some pussy tomorrow, so that's going to be fun.
What?
Always good.
A cat. You're talking about a cat.
I got to feed a cat, yeah.
Jeez.
But I wanted to say the line because it's past midnight, so. It's past midnight. I can say that.
Wow. I knew you were talking about a cat because you are not that crude.
Well, it's also factual, too, so it's okay.
Correct. Jeez. Well, that's a fun way to end the show. Nice. Okay.
I thought so.
Well, yep. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Big shout-out to the members over at join.ringsidereport.net. My man Angelo Contagonis, Jimmy James, Leor, Jason Pete, all the members supporting over at join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net is where you want to go. Membership.ringsidereport.net as well. Support the channel. Go to merch.ringsidereport.net. And go to ringsidereport.net, the website. Go to our website, ringsidereport.net. Always great stuff over there. Johnny and I will be back next week on Friday night to preview the Royal Rumble, and then next Saturday, right after the Rumble, to recap the action. So a big, big week in professional wrestling coming up next week. It's Rumble week, which is fun. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, you love the Royal Rumble. Who doesn't? Anything's possible. Anything can happen in the WWF, pal. And that's it. And I'll be back here tomorrow night for the UFC 297 watch-along right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word.
You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button. Flip those notification switches.
We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at